Her just left, right? You take first. I'll take second.
Okay. Well, thank you all for coming tonight. I really appreciate you taking the time to invite school board candidates of all people to get to know us and to ask us really hard questions. I think it's really important. I hope that as you guys grow and learn civics and everything else, you'll learn the importance of voting and how important local races are as just as important as state and national races, and that you'll take the time to get registered to vote and to vote. So the question for Dora was what are the important issues that are facing Durham Public Schools?
How would you change the school system for the better, and what problems are you most interested in fixing, like as an individual?
Okay. So my name is Natalie Beyer. I have been on the Durham School Board since 2010. During that time, we have done a lot of progressive work in Durham. We've raised our graduation rate from about 70% when I first got on the board to about 82% now. We've got a universal breakfast in every school for every kid. We've worked on the start times to try to improve academic achievement, which is often controversial with folks, but we're really, really focused on advocating for everything that students need. I will tell you that this is not a strong time for North Carolina to support public schools. There have been a lot of initiatives that have tried to start vouchers and start more charter schools and give tax money away to private schools. But we are fighting on the Durham board as a progressive board to get you guys the resources that you need. So to get you great teachers, to get you extra counselors, to get you bilingual staff that can help in the front office and all through the schools, and to really focus everything that we do on making sure everything is excellent and equitable for every student in Durham Public Schools. We've done some great stuff. We've made a good start, and we've got a lot more work to do. So my campaign, if I'm elected again, will continue to focus both on equity for all students and excellence for all students as we move Durham Public Schools forward as the leading school system in Durham and across the state.
All right.
All right, yeah.
Good evening. My name is Antonio Jones, and I'm a candidate for Durham Public Schools Board District 4. It's great to see many of you students here. Some of you, I remember your first day in kindergarten. So I used to work for Durham Public Schools. Actually, my last school I worked in was Hillside. I've worked at Lakewood Elementary, so I remember Destiny Quick's first day in kindergarten. Yes, so I've been around a while. So one of the things we're talking about is how do we improve the schools, how do we make schools better. I think number one, we got to make learning fun again. You know, when I was in school, learning was actually fun. I think right now you have a lot of testing. Right, so we got to figure out a way to reduce the testing to a meaningful level. Other thing is additional supplies and courses. I think as we talk about learning fun, making learning fun, you have your science, math, reading courses, but you have those additional courses such as art or specials. We call them specials, right? Art, PE, different type of sciences. Make sure we have the curriculum that's going to be something that you can connect to, so that you can learn. Another thing, so what that boils down to is academic achievement. You know, so when you feel good about coming to school and you're learning, guess what? Your world opens up. So we got to figure out how to open up the world to this generation. You know, so whether you want to be a doctor, entrepreneur, if you want to open up your own lawn service, I think our responsibility here in K-12 education is to get you on the path to where you're trying to go, not to tell you where you're trying to go. So if you want to be an astronaut, we need to figure out how to make you be the best astronaut. If you want to be a lawyer, we got to figure out how to get you into the best law schools. If you simply want to be a welder and open up your own plumbing business, we have to figure that out. So when we're talking about change, you have to make sure that making learning fun again by offering additional courses that's going to keep you involved in schools. When kids are involved in schools, guess what happens? You don't have a lot of discipline problems, right? So what happens is once you get bored in your class, people start cutting up, right? Everybody want to be class clown. That kind of starts a whole separate trend. So when you are connected to the curriculum and you are making learning fun again, I think that's one of the first things you got to focus on is the academic achievement of Durham.
So, what can you do about raising teacher pay, specifically for teachers who meet the requirement to get a raise, but haven't because of whatever reason?
Okay.
Yes. So understanding how teachers are paid. So you have your state salary, then you have your local supplement. I think in order for Durham to be more competitive, it may be time to really look at the local supplement. It's going to cost a little bit more money to do it. But you have the base rate for the state, and your local, each district add on their local supplements. And some teachers are bonus off various test scores. But I think in terms of teacher pay, a lot of that component is based on state. So we can definitely work with the General Assembly and make the General Assembly a much better, friendlier place for teachers and education in general. It starts there, but I think at the local level we can do a little bit more with the local supplement. In terms, it's going to hurt a little bit for some of the people who may not be connected to the school system, because it's going to probably cause a raise in taxes. So that's a different conversation at the local level. But I think once you start talking about teacher pay, the vast majority of that comes from the state. Now, what I don't like is teachers who have other jobs. I personally know teachers who have part-time jobs doing other things. Whether they're working at restaurants, bartending, or Uber drivers. That does not help us in the classroom. Because if you're leaving the classroom at 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, 7 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're working at a restaurant or driving Uber, that does not help us, because guess what? They're not planning the curriculum for the next day or for the next week. But the main thing is increasing pay at the state level, in combination with probably reevaluating the local supplement. I think that's going to help the teachers out in terms of teacher pay. And teachers are underpaid. I've worked in the school system. So yes, teachers are underpaid, hands down.
So I think it's a great question, because I think that you guys all know how fantastic your teachers are and how hard they work. And they just don't work during the school day. They work before school for you. They work after school. They work on the weekends. And North Carolina has fallen dramatically. We used to be nationally about 25th in teacher pay of the 50 states. We've fallen to 46th in the country. We're one of the lowest in the Southeast. And only recently did starting teacher pay get a small raise. They start at $35,000 a year. And if they've been in there for 25 years, all they can make is $50,000. I think that's ridiculously low salary for someone with a college degree. And it's incredibly troubling that the General Assembly has not funded teacher pay better in North Carolina. What I did in 2010 was start a Public Schools First North Carolina nonprofit, an advocacy group. We've been over in Raleigh advocating to the General Assembly for them to raise teacher pay year after year after year. And we've been joining together with people from across the state who share the same concern that you do. Teachers should make great salaries in North Carolina so that it would be a profession that you would consider choosing for yourself or for your friends. And until we make some more noise and flip some more seats in the General Assembly, nobody much has been listening at all. What we've done in Durham, the General Assembly cut teacher tenure. They said teachers couldn't have tenure anymore. So in Durham, we put it back. So all Durham teachers have due process rights again. We're currently evaluating our local supplement to see what we can do to make sure we're competitive, because we compete with Wake County, Chapel Hill, and other local districts. And we've got teachers that are leaving to go to Texas to teach because they make better money in Texas or Tennessee or South Carolina. That's embarrassing, and that's not the state that we all know and love and pay taxes to support. So we know we can do better. We're going to have to make some noise. Our teachers are planning to go over May 16th when the General Assembly goes back in session, and we'll be there with them to help advocate for stronger teacher salaries.
Okay, so I'm not sure how this issue deals with the board presentation, but what's your stance on teachers with guns, or less specifically, how do you plan to make schools safer if they students use
I'll take that question. So I do not support giving teachers guns. I think that's a bad idea. In terms of making schools safe again, so one of the things I talk about in my campaign is safe schools. So there's 4 things I like to talk about: is safe schools, equity, accountability, and transparency. How to make our schools safe? I think we first have to define what safe means, right? So there are some people that say we need to pull the SRO officers out of the schools. I say we should not. I think we have to bridge that gap between the SRO officers in the community and our students. What we found is that when the students have a great relationship with SRO officers, certain things can happen. Meaning, there was an incident here not too long ago with a child that had a gun, right? So when we talking about that, or we talking about drugs or weapons, when you have that great relationship, guess what would happen? Now they would know, hey, officer such and such, I heard he may have something on him, right? So when we talk about safe schools, we look at bullying, right, or discipline in the classroom. What I would say is there are some people who say that you should never suspend a child, right? But what I would tell you as someone who's actually worked in our schools, there comes a time when enough is enough. You know, it's unfair for you to sit in the classroom and someone else is cutting up, right? Someone else is interrupting the process. If you have a 90-minute class and a teacher spends 10, 15, 20 minutes a day dealing with discipline, guess what you're not getting? Instruction, right? So we have to make sure that we have a policy in place that is more flexible and gives teachers and administrators actual have a policy in place that gives them the authority to do what's right for their school. I think our previous policy needs to be worked on, and I appreciate Dr. Beyer, the new superintendent, seeing that was an issue, and he wants to readdress that policy with the student discipline code of conduct. So safety is a multiple thing. Discipline in the classrooms. Make sure we have SROs that's connected with our schools in terms of community policing, and also holding each other accountable. You know, I think for students, when you hold each other accountable, you know, I think that stops a lot. So if you have you might hang out with a particular crew, right? They might be up to no good or just doing some stuff that kids normally do, right? It takes somebody in that group to say, well, no, let's not do this, right? Because what happens is it's like a domino effect. Right? It's all fun and games till now one child has interrupted 4 and 5, so now the whole entire classroom is just haywire. I know what happens. I've worked in high schools before. So we have to be able to make sure that we have policies and procedures in place that's going to allow teachers and administrators to really run their schools and classrooms. And I think that's going to transition into a better school for everybody.
So, can I ask you all a question? Did you all have protest events recently for the Never Again movement? Did you have
Yes.
Yeah? So, I am so proud of student leaders on this issue. I will say, in my opinion, you know, Columbine, Sandy Hook, Parkland, these are all incredibly tragic events, but they don't really have anything to do with schools. They have to do with the fact that our country has not been able to come together on a difficult, complex issue like gun control and pass legislation that would actually make us feel safer, whether we're in school or whether we're in a movie theater or at a park or at a music concert in Las Vegas. This to me is a gun control issue that I am so proud of students leading the conversation forward. I was at the protest that was at Durham School of the Arts, and Senator McKissick said that he had not seen students leading like this since the Vietnam War. This is y'all's generation bringing the conversation to a profoundly new place, and it's going to be so important that we walk hand in hand together as we try to craft better gun policy and mental health services going forward. But I want you guys to feel safe in schools. Yeah.
I think what more people are asking here is geared toward what you think like schools are going to be able to do to make sure that, like I said, the gap is bridged between students and teachers, students and officers, to make sure that that kind of stuff doesn't happen. Like, a lot of it is out of our control as like a local thing, but I do feel like schools can sort of help. So what I'm asking is more like what do you think schools can do to help that?
No, I appreciate that clarification, Fedora. The question started with, do I believe in arming teachers? No, that's not a policy solution. That's a distraction from the issue of the need for greater gun control and gun legislation. Do I support metal detectors in schools, as some have suggested? I don't know. If school communities want them, we can certainly provide them. But does that give you a safer school, or does it make you feel like you've made your school into kind of a jail because you're running through a metal detector every day? Do the students with the clear backpacks in Florida feel safer? No, they think that they're made to have a silly clear backpack going into school. So what we've asked Dr. Mabenga to do, and he's committed to do, is bring together students, parents, teachers, principals, SROs, and community members to the table to have really complex conversations about what's working now, what we can improve, and what are best national practices for making sure all our students are safe. But I never want a school to feel like a jail. It's your school, it's your second home. Yep. Thank you so much.